Today, 80% of businesses don't sell. To be a part of the 20% that do, and at maximum value, you'll need a successful strategy. Welcome to the Defenders of Business Value podcast, where we interview today's top professional advisors who help business owners create, preserve, and most importantly, transfer value. If you want actionable tips that will increase your business value, stay tuned. The podcast starts now with your host, Ed Mysogland.
This week, I had the opportunity to talk with Dan Lacy. Dan Lacy is the owner of Dynasty Business Consulting. And Dan, it's funny, Dan is known in my circles as the prophet of profit. And he, for the last 25 years, he has consulted with all kinds of different businesses. And he focuses on cost control, performance, improving growth, maximizing profit, all the things you need to do in order to maximize value. And, I get so many newsletters, and there's very few that I make sure that I read each week that it comes out. And one of those is Dan's, and his newsletter is always chock full of all kinds of good things that are timely and that I can share with our clients. So I hope you enjoy this conversation because we covered a lot of ground in a fairly short amount of time. So enjoy my conversation with Dan Lacy. I'm your host, Ed Mysogland. I teach business owners how to build value and identify and remove risks in their business so that one day they can sell their business at maximum value when they want, how they want, and to whom they want. On today's show, I am really excited to welcome my friend Dan Lacy from Dynasty Consulting. Dan coaches business owners to help them build value by improving cash flow and revenue. He developed a proprietary system that enables business owners to get the results they want in their business and make money how they want to. His one-on-one monthly coaching has enabled his clients to increase revenue, listen to this, by $100 million. He has improved profits by $6.2 million and entity value by $52 million over the last 15 years. His clients consistently receive, on average, a 35% return on investment annually. Dan's authored 5 books and co-authored 2, all of which I'll have links in the show notes. And lastly, and probably most important, Dan's been married for 40 years, has 3 children and 5 grandchildren. So Dan, welcome to the show.
It's great to be here, Ed.
Well, I'm glad you're here, and I gave everyone a kind of a high-level overview of you and your consulting practice, but can you talk a little bit more about what you do and how you do it?
Well, my consulting practice revolves around helping business owners get to where they want to go. And the first step is identifying what it is you want to accomplish in your business, and we'll talk about that further in your broadcast. Then, once we establish the goal, then how do we get there? What road do we take to achieve the goal? Then, in that process, we have to identify the landmines that are going to be on the road when you go down the road. And the last thing is that we have to have some way of ensuring that we stay on the road on an ongoing basis in some kind of accountability format. And I've been doing this for nearly 20 years, and it nearly works 100% of the time.
On this show, we focus on business value, and you have 4 areas that affect value. It's cash flow, your exit strategies, capital, and personnel. Which have you found to be most important to the business owner and the contribution to their business value, and why?
Okay, I can tell this is a trick question already.
No.
Okay, they're all important. The business owner has got to balance so many balls in the air, keep them in the air all the good time, and the higher he throws them, the more he's going to get. So capital is important. The financial structure of the company is important. The right people, probably the most important thing. Cash flow. God, if you can't have, if you don't have cash flow, you don't have a business. They all tie together. And what I love about helping business owners is that, if you got to step back and take a 35,000 foot view of your business and see what's working, because you've got sales and marketing, you have your product or your service, you have the financial side, and you have management. Okay, so if you look at all those functions in the business, which one's working, which one's not working? Because typically, if 1 or 2 or 3 of those functions are not working, the business is not working. So the key for the business owner is to manage things that they're not comfortable with, don't have a whole lot of background with, and they only learn it through the school of hard knocks. So it's all these things are important.
No, I hear you. And I guess when I look at a particular business and trying to assess value, I'm trying to look at where do they get the greatest bang for the buck. And out of those four, I mean, I don't know which you perceive as the most important. I know they're all important, but there's got to be one that, you know what, it's kind of the old 80-20 rule. You know, if you address this, you know, the rest of it is almost like a domino. Do you see that or no?
You know, I don't know if I 100% agree with that, because the people are the most important thing. If you've got a great sales manager, you're going to have good sales. If you have a good CFO, you're going to have good financial records to tell you where you're going. If the owner is a good leader, if the owner is mentoring the people underneath him, if he's bringing up people, I mean, they're all really important. If I had to choose one, I'd say it'd be people, because people drive all of the functions. And if you have, from an exit strategy standpoint, if you've got a strong management team, if you can walk away from the business for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 3 months, and the thing runs like a clock, that is really an indication of great management, good leadership, good mentoring, and a good business.
I hear you. And the funny thing is that in just about every one of these podcasts that I've conducted it's the same thing, that, you know, the people are creating the value. And that's probably one of the biggest challenges that certainly the people that we're working with are facing, that, you know, it's hard to get good people these days. So, I mean, how are you seeing your clients that are getting such a great return on their investment? Where are they finding these people, or what are they doing? Are they grooming them, or are they sourcing them from other places? How is that happening?
It's a combination. It's a combination of both. But I think most of them, they're people that have come up through the organization, and the employee has a desire to be there. They have a desire to do a good job. You know, the mental position may not be the right word, but the employee really has a desire to grow, to learn, to be better, to be accountable, to do all the functions that you'd want all your kids to do. Then the owner is always on the lookout for people that are in the organization that are doing a great job, because they know the importance of growing the person, of growing the person to grow the organization. And the employee, in today's market, it's great. It's great to be employed because the opportunities are unlimited. But the business owner is really, they really like to hire within. So they'd rather not go outside the organization. So they're looking within. But the business owner has to have a strategy for growing the people, even if it's through him or through outsiders, to work with them, to improve their sales skills, to become a better production manager, to do their function, as an organization grows, is that the business owner has really got to invest in some key people. So choosing the right people initially is really important, because those are the people who are going to grow. Okay, if you find people that can't grow, maybe you have to go outside the organization and hire somebody. But you want people that will grow with you, that are committed to the company, that really like what they're doing. And that's how I see it working. And as the organization grows, it can financially afford better people, either paying the people more that you've got in the key functions that are growing, or if they're not performing at the level you want them to do and you got to go outside, you got the ability to do it. So it all works together.
Yeah, I hear you. And one of the challenges that every business owner that I talk to has is do I make that investment, and what's the likelihood that I'm going to get my investment back and a return on it? I mean, you have any tips on how to? I know you said, you bring people you groom them from within, or you hire within. I mean, is there, you got any tips or tricks that you can identify those people that number one would be good, and number two, that are not flight risks?
Well, they say that the reason an employee leaves a job it's more the problem of the manager than it is the employee. Okay, so do you have good managers manage your people? I think that's a number one. I mean, this is a vast quagmire of questions, because if the business owner's goal, I think the most important thing is, where does the business owner want to take the business? Is it a lifestyle business? Is it a business that he wants to grow to leave to his kids? I mean, he wants to own the market. I mean, what's the reason for doing it? So first of all, the business owner's got to have an objective as to what he wants to accomplish. Then the second thing is, okay, then what's the strategy to accomplish the objective? Then the third thing is, how do I man the organization to get the performance I need from the people I need? Then what's the financial accountability to each one of those primary functions? Then if you have a plan, it's a lot easier to go someplace if you have a plan than if you're going someplace without a plan.
Yeah, I hear you. And you had asked, what's the goal? I think any business owner, regardless of sizes, at some point they want to, they want to create liquidity. How do I get rid of this when I want to? And certainly there is, merit to having personnel, but again, I think the background is, and the basis of this podcast is, all right, how do you position your company so at all times you have the flexibility to pivot regardless of what happens? And again, I agree with you that, having personnel in place that affords you to take off anytime you want is a great position to be in. But unfortunately, just most businesses don't have that. And go ahead.
Well, they don't have it because they haven't thought about what the end game is.
Oh, sure. I can see that. Yeah.
Okay. So, I started my business because I didn't like working for my boss, and I was just as good technically as he was. Therefore, why should I work for my boss? Because I can make all the money myself. Okay, that's how they start out. So they start out with a strong technical or sales knowledge, but then if the objective is to grow the business and create liquidity, I tell you what, business ownership is by far the best way to build equity, liquidity, and riches than any other option a person could do. I mean, my brother-in-law owned a plumbing company, and his dad was a plumber. He became a plumber. Okay, so he was sound, and he had 80 plumbers working for him before he sold his business.
Wow.
But you know something? He really invested in his foreman, in the people that made the difference, that people that were on the job, and he cashed out at 55. And he worked for 28 years in his business and cashed out and hasn't worked since.
Yeah.
He didn't even go to college. I mean, is that he had expertise, but he had a desire to grow a business that he could sell sometime down the road. I think that's the first step. Is that what's your objective? Your objective is you want to do everything yourself because you feel happy about doing everything yourself. You're not going to create a business of value because everything is built around yourself. So the objective has got to be, what's my end game? You got to think about what your end game is 20 years before you're thinking about exiting.
And we're seeing statistics that, I mean, I've been preaching this for a while about, the whole pre-planning, process. But as you know, with all these business owners that we talk to, planning the sale of the business is right before planning, pre-planning funeral services. There's such a an attraction, and that's the business is the identity that they have, and it's a challenge. But I hear you, and unfortunately, the people that we talk to, they just haven't gotten at that point, and they can't see that if they can just go through this dip of getting the people in the right places, that that they can then turn and scale the business and create more of an investment as opposed to a lifestyle. So I hear you.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely right. So I have a client right now that's fairly decent, $25 million a year in revenue, and he wants to transition out of his business. And I said, you don't have a business you can transition out of because you have a lifestyle business. He says, well, what is a lifestyle business? So he went down that road. But he said, shoot, that's not what I wanted. Nobody really told me. Nobody really made the distinction between what kind of business I should have when I was growing this business. I just did everything I thought it was the right thing to do. I just did and moved forward. And now, the time comes where he wants to transition out. And he's got to, he says, okay, I've got 3 to 4 years that I'm going to do these things I need to do to be able to transition out. Okay. So it'd be better if he did it 15 years ago, but now that he's got, a few years to go, he's investing in his people to be able to transition out of it. Okay. So the business, and you hit the nail on the head, is that the business is the identity of the person. And that is the big holdup because they don't know what to do after they sell their business. But the key thing is that if you have a good business, and we can talk about what defines a good business, but if you have a decent business, the person that buys it wants to keep that owner around for a while for a whole bunch of different reasons. So it's not like he's going to be kicked out on the street, typically, because there's value in the contacts he has, the knowledge he has, all the things that he's learned as the business grows. He's got that in his head, and that's highly valuable to a buyer. So it's not like they're going to lose their identity, when they make a transition, but you've got a plan for when that's going to happen. And it's like anything else. People sell life insurance. You never know when you're going to die. You never know when you're going to sell your business. You can exit at any time. There's all kinds of reasons why businesses go through exit. They divorce, dissolution, partnerships. There's all kinds of things that cause a person to exit. But the key is if you have a business that's if you said, I want to create a business that'll operate without me. Okay, that's a huge step. Okay, then what does that look like? Then how do I get there? But the deal, what's my plan? What's my plan for the next 12 months? What's my plan for the next 18 months, 24 months, 36 months? What's my objective? What am I trying to accomplish? And it does a number of things. Number one, it helps you think about what the end game is. Number two, it helps you communicate to the people underneath you what you want to accomplish so they know what their goals are. I mean, the planning process is really, really important for anybody that owns a business. The problem is, based on my surveys, is about 85% of business owners don't do it.
And do you think that it's because of time or lack of urgency or what causes them not to do that? I know from our end, it's always, I shouldn't say always, it's always, once again, I think it's a situation where life circumstances all of a sudden show up and they have to move. And unfortunately, they get struck with reality of, that your company is substantially has more risk than you perceive. And as a result, it suppresses value. And, that's a tough spot to be in when you're forced to consider exiting.
Oh, no, I agree 100%. I mean, you never want to be forced to have to exit your business because you never get any value out of it. But it goes back to, is that let me put it another way, is that if your business, even if you're not thinking about exiting your business, and you're 45 years old, you're 52 years old, you're not thinking about exiting your business, but your business is consistently improving, then I think that is a lot easier to make a transition than one that is just a lifestyle business and your revenue's flat and you're taking all the money out of the business. I mean, is that it goes back to the plan. What do you want to accomplish? Right. Then if you don't have time to think about what you want out of the business, should you retire or should you exit the business someplace down the road, then you deserve what you get. Because there's a lot of people out there with money that will take your business and make it a lot better than you're doing it. But, is that you're right, is that the business owner that is afraid to plan because you're afraid to buy your funeral plan because that may mean you're going to die. Well, if you plan your exit strategy, that means maybe you're going to exiting. But you know something? If your business is consistently improving in revenue, consistently improving in profitability, you're growing and if that's happening, your management is getting stronger because you've got the resources to invest in your people or hire people outside the organization. Is that as long as your business is consistently improving? Okay, how do you make your business consistently improve? That goes back to what's my objective? If I think I may sell someplace in the next 3 to 5 to 10 to 15 to 20 years, what do I have to do tomorrow to make it improve my business to improve in value? Okay, well, if the key indicators are all going in the right direction, the value of your business is going up. Okay, key indicators: revenue is going up, EBITDA is going up, profitability is going up. Your debt's going down, and your employees' key management team is getting stronger. I mean, those are all really positive things. But you got to say, I got to have a plan for that. I've got to have an organizational plan. I've got to have a training plan. Where are my key guys weak? Then it goes back to the owner. What do I have to do as an owner to improve the value of my business? Well, I got to improve myself because I may not know everything I need to know. So what do I do to do that? So it's awareness. It's like these podcasts of making people aware of what they need to do because, like I said before, the book, The Millionaire Next Door, is that the biggest segment of wealth creation is through small business ownership. And it is hugely valuable. I was talking to a client last week, and he said, I've been approached. This company, I worked with them about 5 years. They went from $8 to $20 million in revenue. They're doing 10% bottom line. And he says, I was approached by a foreign company to buy my business. And he said, I talked to him. He said, I'm not really interested in selling, but, I kind of want to know what's going on. He said, I have another guy call me from another country. And he said, he just started asking questions. He says, what do you think the value of it is? So, you got to feel for where the value was for both these different companies. And he says, something? I really need to think about this. But, 10 years ago, he wouldn't have gotten anything for his business. So, it's about the business owner has got to think about how do I consistently improve my business? Therefore, my value is going to go up, my revenue is going to go up, market share is going to go up, all these key indicators are going to go up. And if those things are going up, the business value, 9 chances out of 10 is going to go up.
Yeah, and the funny thing is that when I'm talking to business owners, and we broach those topics, at some point you're going to have to carve out some time and you're going to have to plan it. And they're like, you know what, I just don't have the time to do it. So what do you do with that? I mean, for me, I say, you know what, why don't we start with just carve out 30 minutes during the month. Certainly you've got 30 minutes and just sit without your phone and figure out what are next steps for you on the planning of your business, regardless of sale. Just, what are you going to do? Yeah. So when you consult, and I know I know a number of people that you've coached along the way, but what do you do to help them find the time to do such an important undertaking?
Well, it's the issue of priorities. Is it important for your family to have liquidity someplace down the road? Is it or isn't it? Well, if you're extremely wealthy already, maybe you don't care. Maybe this business is just a hobby. But if the goal of the owner and the family is that I've got to create $2 million in value by the time I'm 65, or $5 million in value, what kind of nut do I have to create in the future for me to be able to do the things I want to do. Number one. Number two is that I think that's the first thing you got to do. You got to figure out what do you have to accomplish. Then will you spend a couple hours a month achieving that goal? Then if they won't, then I'm just saying, something, then you're not going to get your objective. But, is that you can't force them to plan. But what the really cool thing about it is that once they do start planning, is that all these other things open up. All these opportunities open up. The communication opens up. The people understand better. And the company improves. Well, the company improves because you got a plan that everybody understands, and you know where you're going. You know that if our Google ratings have got to improve, our Yelp ratings want to improve. They want to improve, and they'll improve because we're doing things right. Is that I just come. My approach is what do you want to accomplish in your life, in this business life, and what does that look like in monetary terms? And where are you today? And let's say the company's doing $1 million a year, making $50,000 in profit, and you want $2 million in the next 15 years. Okay, what does that company have to do that? Well, it's $2 million it's got to make $500,000 in EBITDA, and you're at 5,000 now. You got quite a ways to go. So if that's the goal,
right? Then
what plan do you have to put in place to do it? You can't. You see this all the time, but you can't have a business work really hard, 14, 16 hours a day for 30 years, and not look up and say, my business isn't worth anything. That is a complete waste of time. Talking about wasting time.
Well, at the same time, I mean, my advice to the business owner is, look, I don't care if you want, there's nothing wrong with a lifestyle business, nor is there something wrong with developing an asset that is, passive income from you, and it runs by itself. Either path is fine. The issue I have is that you don't understand what you have. And that's what we've been working so hard on is, when you go to sell your company, you just need to understand where the risks are. And again, we just don't want people showing up into the market not knowing, thinking that they have something that's some great investment when in fact someone's simply buying a job. And again, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just it's a real challenge to get the benefit of an investment when in actuality someone's buying a job.
Right. Yeah. No. Yeah. And so it just goes back to what do you want to accomplish? Is that I have a client I've been working with, 14 years, and he said, I want to own the market from I want to be the number one person people call when they have this issue. And I want to create a legacy for my kids. I have 6 kids. I want them to be able to come into the business if they want to. I met with him last week, and he's at nearly $16 million in revenue. He's got 80 or 90 employees, but he said he set the goal out initially. Then every month, okay, what are we doing to improve the organization? And he's upgraded all of his key people. A lot of them within. He's hired a few outside the organization. But he's doing things that will enable him to, him and his wife take all kinds of vacations because he's got a business that operates without him. He's still got to be there to make key decisions, but the day-to-day operation of the business will function without either one of them there.
So,
okay, but that was his goal 15 years ago.
Yeah. So what were
it doesn't happen
right? Well, but when you started working with him, I mean, what were the habits that business owner needed to take in order to diversify the reliance on that person? Because I'm assuming that when you started 15 years ago with this person, they were the business. And then gradually over time, they started diversifying and stopped being the hub in the middle.
Right. No, that's absolutely true. So number one, they looked for and found really good people, and they brought them in the organization, and they worked. And he's doing the same thing with these kids. His kids are doing the grunt work. They're not coming in and sitting in an office. They're out there, with a shovel, and a blowtorch doing the grunt work. And he's taking them all through the same process. Is that they've all learned the basics of what the business is. Then they're working their way up. Then some will work into sales, some will work into management, some will work into accounting. But he's led them through there, and he just invests in the people, and he lets them run their divisions, and he lets them make mistakes, and he cares for them, and he spends a lot of time with them, helping them learn their job. He'll work side by side with them. I think he has six or seven profit centers right now, and he'll take a guy in a profit center. He'll work with him for a couple of years, 3 years, and he'll slowly back out of that job. Then he'll go to the next. Then he'll buy something else and work with that person for a while, and slowly back out of it. So the people have the confidence to operate, and they know how he runs a business. But overall, it's what's the plan? How do we implement the plan? How do we communicate the plan? How do we know that we're doing the right things on an ongoing basis? And if a business owner says they don't have the time to grow the value of their business, and they don't want that big payout at the end of their term of their business, that's what they're missing. That's the missed opportunity, because the value, the value of cash flow is like 4 to 6 times what it's worth on an annualized basis. So if you're doing $100,000 a year in cash flow, your business is worth $400,000 to $6,000. If you can build that cash flow to $500,000, the value of the business goes up 5 times. Why not work on improving the value of that cash flow? Well, to get a cash flow or EBITDA increase, I use EBITDA and cash flow, same terminology. If you work on growing, if you say, we want to improve. Okay, we want our revenue to go up. We want our sales guys to make more money. We want to help more customers. We want to do more things. Okay, sales are going to go up. Okay, we need to do a better job producing our product. We want the customer to feel really good about the things that we're doing. When all that happens, then the whole organization goes up.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a beautiful. It is a beautiful, beautiful thing. It's stressful, but if a company grows at a 10, 15, 20% annualized rate, they can manage it. We had a company that grew from $3 to $30 million in 6 years, wow. And everything went to pot. I mean, organizational structure, facilities. People, the CEO was fired. I mean, crud, everything went wrong. But at the end of the game, we went from negative cash flow to $1 million a year in cash flow, and we got a huge bonus on our EBITDA because we were growing so fast. So, I love small business. I think it is a phenomenal opportunity for guys to make good money, that they retire. It is, and the construction trades are just amazing, but nobody goes back and thinks about what's the most important thing to do and how is it impacting what I want to accomplish long term. That's a major problem most small business owners face. I'm too busy to think about making more money.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make any sense at all.
Well, no, I mean, it actually does make a lot of sense because they don't have any margin they're running their business, and it's hard. I mean, I hear you, I hear them, and I'm sympathetic to them. Well, swinging back to your client with all the family members. So are they going to go third party, or is this going to be a generational transfer? And how does that look? And do you consult with that?
Well, it's a generational transfer. And the kids are in their, I don't even think they have a child that's 30 yet. So it'll be a few years yet. I mean, the owner is still in his 50s. So it'll probably be another 10 years before they transition out of it. But I mean, he's doing so well that we're buying other companies. If you invest in your people and you're thinking about where you're going and you're planning your process and you're evaluating your performance on an ongoing basis, you're going to see dramatic results. And this company has dramatic results. They're at a place now where every business owner wants to be. They've got a company that's worth probably $6-7 million. They have no debt. They have all kinds of cash. They can do whatever they want to do. But it took them, 15, 20 years to get there. But it's like, what do they say? If you're a smoker and your possibility of getting lung cancer is X, if you quit smoking within 3 months or 6 months, your life expectancy dramatically improves. If you don't smoke for a year, it dramatically improves the same. It's the same with business ownership. If businesses just spend a little bit of time thinking about where do I want to go? How do I want to get there? What obstacles do I face? And how do I hold myself accountable? They can achieve phenomenal things.
No, I hear you. So I want to be sensitive to your time, but a couple more questions I have. So just can you describe what's it like working for you? I'm the process behind working with you. I shouldn't say for you, with you. Yeah.
My key thing is that I've got clients that do $1.5 million in revenue up to nearly $30 million. Okay, but the revenue is not as important. It is somewhat important. It's not as important as, does the business owner really have a desire to grow, to improve, to make a mark, to help his employees, help the community, help his customers? What's the motivation? And do they have a really desire to do that? That's number one. Then number two is that, will they take outside input? And if they will take outside input, then I'd love to sit down and talk with them and say, okay, what it is that the 4 questions. What do you want to accomplish? What do we have to do to get there? If we want to go from $1 million to $50 million, or $1 million in revenue to $10 million in revenue, what does the market look like? What does your product look like? What does all this thing look like? Is that realistic? Then what's the game plan? Then what obstacles are in the way? We got people obstacles, we have financing obstacles, we have cash flow obstacles, we have market, we have competitors, we have all these things that could be an issue. How do we play into that? Then the fourth thing is that, what process do we put in place to ensure that we're on the road that gets us to where we want to go? And if I have a business owner that says, that's me, that's what I want to do, then we can work out something that will help him accomplish what he wants to accomplish.
Got it.
And it's, I classify myself as a business coach, not really a consultant, because I'm not really project oriented and I'm not really focused on a problem. Is that my job is to come alongside the business owner and make them better than they would be on their own. And I want to build on his strengths. I want to build on the strengths of his team. I want them to help them identify and attain their goals. I want to help them grow. And what I've found is that a growing business, things change all the time. So there's always opportunities, there's always risks, there's always the landmines that are in the way, and it's about consistency. John Wooden said, it's about practicing the fundamentals. And he was very, very successful as a college coach because he always focused on the fundamentals. My key is, let's just be consistent in what we do. And if a business owner will take 2 or 3 hours a month to sit down and think through sit back and look at the 35,000 foot view and evaluate where the business is going, I tell you what, the business will operate smoother. They'll make more money. They'll have less stress. They'll sleep better at night. They'll have better cash flow. Everything improves because they're working on their business, not in their business. Michael Gerber brought that up when he wrote the email, is that, you've got to give away the tool belt and start thinking about what you want to do. I've got a contractor I'm working with right now, and he was struggling from a financial standpoint. And I said, you've got to start staying out of the jobs. You got to manage the company. And and I've worked with him for 6 months, and he's had tremendous turnaround because he's doing the things that actually count.
Yeah.
The other side of the story is that one really good way to look at it, if you're a business owner, you say, I'm a business owner, and said, what this job I'm doing right now, what's it worth on an hourly basis if I hired somebody to do it? Is it $10 an hour, $15 an hour, $100 an hour, $50 an hour? What's it worth? And if you step back and say, I'm doing a $10 an hour job, or I'm doing a $15 an hour job, you shouldn't be doing that job. Somebody else should be doing it. Because the business owner has huge value in the key things he does, but he has no value in the things that he can farm off to somebody else.
Totally agree. So Dan, what's the best way we can connect with you?
Email, call me. My email, Dan@dynastybusinessconsulting.com, or phone is 317-678-6310. And I'll happily talk to anybody that has a desire to improve their business. I want to help small business owners be better. And if I can help them, I've written all these books. I've written on a book on cash flow, a book on profitability, a book on 6 stages of business growth. I've got what's personality got to do with it, and that has a lot to do with the type of people you hire. The 7 business factors, rock solid business, profit loss. I've got all kinds of stuff on my website that people can download for nothing. They go to your podcast and you show them where to get it. I've written stuff. I write a newsletter every week, and we talk about issues that business owners should be aware of, should know about, should learn about. And if they want to learn, I want to help them because it is a huge economic engine. Just think, if every business owner in the state of Indiana could make 10% bottom line, this place would be amazing.
Yeah, totally agree. Yeah, I'll have links to all of the things that you mentioned in the show notes. So you know what? I want, like I said, I want to be sensitive to your times, but I do want you to know how much I appreciate how generous you are with your time and sharing the experiences with our audience. So Dan, I want to thank you for being a defender of business value, and I look forward to continuing to get your newsletter and seeing all the good you're doing in the entrepreneurial world.
Okay, well, I appreciate it. You guys do a great job too. You guys are educating. You're making people aware of what's going on in the business world. You guys are at the end of the sword.
Well, thank you.
It's that we all need to work together. Accountants, bankers, brokers, the coaches, consultants. All of us can help business owners be more aware and become wealthy.
Well, I'm gonna do my part, and I certainly know you're doing yours. So we'll see you out on the battlefield.
Okay, sounds great, Ed. Hey, thanks a million.
Likewise, thank you.
Thank you for joining the Defenders of Business Value podcast. If you're preparing your business for sale, visit LegacyTransitionAdvisors.com or text EXIT to 35893 to begin your journey to maximum saleable value. If you want more episodes packed with strategies to transfer maximum value in your business, visit DefendersOfBusinessValue.com. Better yet, subscribe now so you don't miss the future episodes. This program is copyright Legacy Transition Advisors, LLC. All rights reserved.